This is Kristen from Homemade Frontier with Mandy, our resident crochet expert.
Hello.
And we are going to show you, Mandy is going to show you, I'm just going to hold the camera, how to sew together 2 pieces of crochet so that we can sew together our crochet bag.
Okay, to start, I am using a smaller hook to crochet my pieces together. And the only reason I'm doing that is just because it's just going to be a little bit easier to manipulate the yarn. You just have to make sure that you make the stitches big enough. So the first thing you want to do is you want to put the 2 right sides together. And to determine the right side, this is the right side, and you can see there's nice stitches that are kind of complete. And if you look at the back, you can see all of these kind of round ridges. So that is the wrong side. So you basically want to put your 2 right sides together.
You want the wrong side inside and the right side outside.
No, the wrong side out, the right side in.
Yeah, well, I mean, once it's finished.
Yes.
So
yes,
it's like
correct.
sewing. It's like when you're sewing 2 pieces of fabric, you put the right sides together.
Exactly.
Okay. So the seam is on the inside.
Correct.
Whew. Okay, carry on.
All right, so you want to start, I'm going to start in a corner because we're going to make a bag, so it's logical to start in the corner.
Because the top seam is not, you're not sewing all the sides.
Exactly. So when you line them up, what you want to be crocheting together is that 2 outside rows of stitches. So I've done 2 different colors here so you can visibly see the 2 outside rows. So basically you're going to take your, so to start we're going to start at the corner here with our outside loop. So here's our outside loop on our gray.
Technically there should be the same number of stitches.
Yes.
So you should be able to match 1 for 1 and it all works out.
It should match up. So there's my outside loop.
Okay, let me see.
I've captured.
The outside, okay.
And I'm capturing the outside loop on the pink. Whoops.
Okay.
Just like so.
Just like so.
Okay. So now.
Okay, now Mandy's using white yarn so that we can see. You might not, you want to use maybe a matching yarn to do it when you make your bag, but this is just for ease of viewing.
Just so you can see what's going on. So you're going to take your yarn, you're going to yarn over, you're going to pull it through both loops, and then you're going to take your yarn over, pull it through, and now it's secured. So you just have to make sure you leave a long enough tail on the back so you can sew it in later. Just give a little bit of a tug. So now we're going to the next stitch here, which is right here. So the outside loop, we're going to go to the matching next outside loop on the pink, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through, pull it right through that stitch. So basically we're just doing a slip stitch all the way across with the back loop, pull it through again. So you want to make sure you give a little bit of extra room because you don't want to do your seam too tight or else you're going to draw your 2 ends together like this. So you just have to kind of adjust your tension as you go. So back loop, pull it through, give it a little bit of a tug to give a little extra room.
And when you're finished, your seams should all match up nice and evenly, and I mean if you pull it open you can see that it's there, but mostly it's invisible. Nice and neat. And this is the inside. Also nice and neat.
A little trick that I use when I'm sewing a bunch of these squares together is you can get these little hair clips at dollar store or Walmart. This size or a little bit bigger, and I just line up my squares, open the clip, grab it, pinch it, and it holds everything together until you have managed to slip stitch crochet everything. I just find it's a little...
A bit like using pins in sewing.
Exactly, but they're just a little bit easier, and you know, if you drop them they don't get...
Because the pin would slip right out and you'd be sitting on it and you wouldn't know.
Exactly, so you just kind of clip it and hold it, and it's easy to remove and it doesn't leave any marks. Now we have our 2 squares slip stitch crocheted together. Here's our seam. And what I like to do to finish off the object is I'm going to do a single crochet around the top of the bag. Just get this
Get the yarn
oriented properly.
So imagine this was the big the big bag.
So I have not cut my yarn. I've left it joined. And I'm just going to kind of tighten it up a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through both top loops. And I'm just going to pull it through, yarn over, pull it through both. And I'm just going to do that all around the top of the bag, underneath both. Yarn over, pull through. And don't make this too tight again because you don't want to cinch up the top of your bag. Just make sure you have a little bit of room. And just keep carrying on just like this around the top of your bag. So I have done my single crochet all around the top of my bag to give it this nice even top. And to finish it, I am just going to go into this little bridge right here between my first and second stitch. And I'm just going to grab it, pull it through, and I'm just going to cut my yarn, leaving a tail to sew in.
We actually have scissors today rather than the knife. I'm sure you're disappointed.
Pull it right through, tighten it up, and then I can just sew my beginning and my end. Just thread it down my seam to close it off.
And voila!
There is a mini version of the bag.
And now we're going to show you how to create the handle and attach it.
So the pattern for this bag actually says to do 3 strips of single crochet, but I've done 5 just to make a little bit of a beefier.
Yeah, I think 3 would be kind of
a little bit too narrow. So what you want to do is you want to chain, I think 72 it says, and I actually did chain my 72 with this
That's
bag.
what 72 looks like.
So you chain your 72 across, and then you just single crochet all the way back, and that counts as your first row. So I have my chain, and then I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I've ended it off.
Okay. And
So,
you made 2 colors.
Right. So my row 3 was my pink row. So this you can see is the good side, and that's
the wrong side.
the wrong side. But you might like it better, and that's fine.
Yeah. We have no judgment over which side you might like.
But
Once you're done your handle,
then you want to tack it onto the inside of your bag. And one trick is when you start your chain and when you're done your handle, leave long tails, because then you can use these to sew your handle into your bag later.
rather than using a whole other piece of yarn.
Exactly.
That'll give it a bit of strength, I suspect.
Yes. So what I've done is I've just used my tail of yarn and just kind of done like a actual needle and thread sewing around each of the corners, and then through the top I'll do another round here to anchor it on. And if you want a little extra added strength, you can also use an actual needle and thread and just tack it on as well. It's personal preference. And you also want to make sure when you tack your handle on that you attach it down a little bit of into your bag. So for example, if you did your handle too long, you can always just kind of slide it down a little bit and just give it a little more integrity when you stitch it on.